The reason I'm here for the first time is because I'm traveling from New York.
Cool.
Yeah, 4-hour drive. Still kills me. My band's been together for about 6 years. We're playing big places in our local areas. We're headlining decent-sized venues. We have local radio support. We have a lot of commercial radio stations already playing us on local segments. But ultimately, we're at a point now where we feel the only point that would be the next step would be to open up for national acts like yourselves. But ultimately, I think I'm not the only person in this room who has a feeling that this industry is a giant catch-22, where you don't know where to go, you don't know who to answer to, and ultimately, we can't get on big bills with bands of legal status because usually they tour with their own bands. You know, we've done just about everything, and at this point, I don't know how much further a band like mine could take it on a national level without having some sort of managerial help or A&R people that could pretty much put us in contact with people playing shows, because ultimately I feel like there's a gap between bands like us and bands like you.
Here, I have a few ideas. One is don't stop, and they're just don't stop. But you're in New York, and you're only 4 hours away from Harrisburg, so why not start booking some small shows here, trading shows with the bands here, and expanding. And like if you have shows and you're doing well in your hometown, then you're getting paid a few $100, which is cool. Save it up for it's going to cost money to expand out of your area. Save up for expanding to different areas so you can start making money in those areas. And if you don't stop, like we were saying, you create your own luck really by just playing and writing lots of
Because ultimately, we're already on. I'm sorry.
Because ultimately, we already have a radio guy who's pushing our music across the country.
Cool.
Yeah, and we've been getting good feedback on some iTunes sales, stuff like that. But ultimately, something's missing from bands like us to national acts.
Well, I mean, managers definitely help because it's kind of a voice of authority. It's not just for me. It was. Not that there's anything wrong with DIY. We did it for years, but once we got a manager in place, it looked a little better. It was the manager kind of pushing and saying, okay, well, here's this great band, instead of it being the guitar player or the singer saying, here, listen to my band. That definitely helps in a way. With us, it was more about impressing the bands themselves. Like, we had some one-offs with Seether, actually. And they really liked us, and what ended up happening was they took us out on our very first tour, national tour. They called up our management and said, we want this band on this tour. They already had booked their package, but so we got a 20-minute slot in front of everybody, but then that kind of opened up the doors for then other bands started noticing, so it then started to expand again with the word of mouth within that circle. It's a very much smaller circle, so that definitely helped.
So would you say that was like the big change when Seether vouched for you?
It was definitely a huge step.
It was one,
It was another step.
There's a lot of places around here as well that do book national acts and Croc Rock in Allentown.
I was just going to say, Lizzie, I cannot tell you how many times places like the Chameleon Club or bars like this call me up at the last minute and say, hey, do you have a local band? Because I just had a national cancel as an opener. Can you find me somebody? And I give them the name. I mean, it's happened many, many times. And national bands such as yourself, on numerous occasions, have come into a market and heard a local band that has opened up for them that night with the club brought in and end up touring with them.
Absolutely.
I mean, these stories happen all the time.
Yeah, well, when we do our headline tours, a lot if we don't have a full package with us, I mean, we've done whole tours where every city there's a different local band opening, and it usually comes from either the promoter or the station, the promoter of the gig. So find the local promoter in your town, get to know him, and you said you already know the station, so that's you're doing everything right. It's just sometimes it takes time.
It really helps to know the promoters and to be able to actually bring in a following. Building a fan base and be able to bring a following into the club.
And it looks like you're already doing that, which really is. I mean, you're doing everything right. I think that you, like me, I'm extremely impatient with everything that we have ever done. So I get like, well, why isn't it happening now? We have to have it now, but it will,